Though once a major Bitcoin skeptic in 2013, Michael Saylor made headlines in 2020 when he converted $425 million of his company's cash into Bitcoin. He has a very interesting background that led him to this path and is now a prominent figure in the Bitcoin community. Here is his story. Michael Saylor went to MIT through an Air Force scholarship and got a double degree in this. In layman terms, he basically learned how to be a rocket scientist and build computer models to predict the future. Right before enrolling in the Air Force, he was diagnosed with benign heart murmur and got kicked out of the aviation program. 10 years later, he found out that he was misdiagnosed, so he basically got a college education for free. But in the meantime, his dream to be a pilot was crushed, so he pursued his other career goal, to be a professor. Since he had no money and couldn't afford a PhD, he had to get a job. He joined DuPont, a chemical commodity company, to build computer simulations to calculate returns on capital investments. When he got into MIT and Harvard's PhD program, he handed in his resignation letter. Little did he know, the model he was working on was going to be used by senior executives to justify a $1.5 billion investment. They needed Saylor to stay and finish the model. But Saylor's mind was set on being a professor, so he said the only way he'll stay was if they helped him start his own company. DuPont had no choice but to agree. And just like that, a 24-year-old kid who was in the right place at the right time got $250,000, free office space, and free IT equipment. After completing the model, he left DuPont to start a business intelligence software company called MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy was immediately successful, eventually going public in 1998. At the same time, Saylor became very obsessed with domain names. This all started when he was too lazy to type out Michael at MicroStrategy.com. So he figured it was a good idea to buy the domain strategy.com because Michael at strategy.com was easier to type. Then he just started buying words in the English language like voice.com, hope.com, and wisdom.com, which is now for sale on their website. Saylor describes domain names as real estate in cyberspace because domain names are scarce. Once you own voice.com and someone wanted that domain name, they'd have to buy it from him. And that's what happened. He ended up selling voice.com for $30 million to a blockchain company, and that was his introduction to cryptocurrencies. But Saylor still didn't know what Bitcoin was. He was too busy running his own company. This all changed when COVID-19 struck the world. The economy shut down. Stay-at-home orders were placed. The stock market had the sharpest decline in history. The world was in uncertain times, and Saylor had no idea how it would impact his company. Like many of us, Saylor had to adapt to the new world and change his worldviews. For example, he used to fire people for not wanting to come into the office, but now he embraces Zoom video because he no longer has to pay for expensive business trips. Similarly, his views on money changed. After the stock market crashed, the Fed printed trillions of dollars to prop the market back to all-time highs. How can this be when millions of people are out of work? After doing a lot of research, Saylor figured out that the disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street was caused by currency devaluation. You see, when the government prints money, the value of the dollar goes down, so the value of assets, like stocks, which is denominated in dollars, goes up. This terrified Saylor because MicroStrategy had $500 million in cash reserves slowly dwindling in value. So what's something he could put his money in that preserves the value of his company's cash? Amid all the central bank money printing, that's when he finally got into the rabbit hole of Bitcoin. And everything started to click. But he wants a store of value. Why did he choose Bitcoin over gold? Because gold is a commodity. He learned from his experience at DuPont that when the price of a commodity goes up, businesses would do whatever they can to produce more of it. Here's an example. If gold doubles in price, gold miners will try to maximize profits by mining more gold. So in response to gold increasing in value, miners will extract more gold off the ground, thus increasing supply and capping the price of gold. On the other hand, Bitcoin's total supply is capped at 21 million, and its supply schedule is programmatic. So no matter how hard the miners try, they cannot increase the supply of Bitcoin, making Bitcoin a no-brainer pick as a store of value. Now, all he had to do was to convince others in his company that this was a good idea. Saylor sent them homework every week, like listening to podcasts from Anthony Pompliano and others. Then he held one-on-one meetings and group meetings until his entire team was on board. Those were the steps he had to take to turn $425 million of his company's cash into Bitcoin, purchasing 38,250 Bitcoin for $11,111.11 each. To explain his decision, he told the press, "We just had the awful realization that we were sitting on top of a $500 million ice cube that's melting. This is not a speculation, nor is it a hedge. This is a deliberate corporate strategy to adopt the Bitcoin standard." In conclusion, MicroStrategy became the first public company to take this massive step to adopt the Bitcoin standard. Michael Saylor's adoption of Bitcoin is quite beautiful because his unique background and sets of experiences allowed him to understand Bitcoin's value immediately. Like his experience at DuPont that helped him understand commodities and how it worked. His infatuation with website domains that helped him understand the value of absolute scarcity. Lastly, he ran a cash-generating company that had to adapt to the new macroeconomic world of unlimited money printing by central governments around the world. If you follow his Twitter, you would think that he's some crazy Bitcoiner and not some CEO of a public company worth almost $2 billion. On the MicroStrategy website, Saylor put up a bunch of Bitcoin resources to educate others about the value of Bitcoin. Saylor is very passionate about education, as he owns Saylor Academy, a non-profit organization that empowers anybody in the world to take free classes and earn college transfer credit. This is the story of Michael Saylor, and he's sure to be an important figure in the Bitcoin community going forward. Thanks for watching, and please comment below on who you think I should highlight next on the Humans of Bitcoin series. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button so other people can learn more about the story of Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin bull.